𝗬𝗶𝘀𝘀 and 106.1 𝗧cie Conroe, and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Toast to the Town with Chrissy and Mel, and we are glad to have everybody in-house today.
Yes, it's so nice. I mean, there's this mysterious thing falling from the sky outside, though.
I know.
Kind of freaked me out because I wasn't exactly sure what it was.
Exactly. Kind of between Huntsville and Conroe, it just like poured so hard I couldn't see, and all of a sudden, voila!
I know. It was kind of nice, though, and I think it's going to just keep coming down for a little bit off and on for the rest of the week. So,
all week.
That's awesome.
So we are here.
We are here. Sorry, I was finishing up some little notes.
Good.
Some little notes.
You and your notes.
I know.
It's good because I don't have notes and I don't have a brain.
It's a big week here in Montgomery County and Walker County and all the surrounding counties here in the state of Texas because high school football starts this week. Super excited about that. And college football officially starts next weekend on Labor Day weekend. So hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
I was looking at our calendar, the one that looks like Skittles threw up on it. And I thought, everybody's colors are over here and over here. And the whole Labor Day weekend, there's time, people. There's things you can do. You can get out, you can walk, you can party, you can do this, you can do that. No, nothing going on. Now I know why.
There's lots going on Labor Day weekend. But yes, I will be watching Texas A&M take on the Sam Houston State University Bearcats. So that'll be a great way to start.
They're the top team in the nation.
They're a couple steps down. Hold your horses. Nothing wrong with Sam Houston, but come on.
I just like getting you started.
I know. But anyway, so really, really excited about that. We've got Conroe City Council workshop going on today and meeting tomorrow. So, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but you can actually go to the City of Conroe website and you can actually watch those meetings live if you don't want to come down to actually the City Hall down here in downtown Conroe. But I would really encourage you to pay attention to what's going on, get engaged, get knowledgeable about what's going on. They even have the agenda out there so you can see exactly what they're going to be talking about. Just scroll through it. There might be something of interest to you that you can find out what's going on.
I could add something to that. I had somebody tell me the other day, I said, I'd probably do great running for city council. It wasn't about Conroe, it was about another city. I'd probably do great running for city council. They don't get paid or anything, do they? I said, most places don't. I think they give you a pittance to cover your office supplies or something. And they said, I just don't know exactly how it goes. I said, have you ever watched the city council? And all of the cities that I've worked in have it online. I said, have you ever watched it? They said, no. I said, maybe you should. And then you can find out if that's something you want to do.
Yeah, and find out what's going on. And because there's always so much going on in Conroe, especially since it's Conroe's time to shine. And it's a good time to engage in what's going on, and which kind of segues me into this. There's this road in downtown, in Conroe, not in downtown Conroe, called the Sergeant Ed Holcomb Parkway, and the Conroe Police Department put out this post, and I think people need to know about this. I think this is really interesting. If you were like me, and I didn't know because I wasn't quite old enough to remember. But on this day, 40 years ago, Sergeant Ed Holcomb Jr. and 3 other Conroe police officers responded to a domestic dispute call. And when they got there, the suspect's wife ran from the house, said that her husband was inside, possibly armed. And Sergeant Holcomb approached the home to walk onto the porch. And as he walked by the sliding glass door, the suspect opened fire and shot him with a rifle. Shot him in the chest. He's the only Conroe police officer to ever be killed in the line of duty. And he finally succumbed to his injuries on September 14th, 1982. But, we always talk about, how rich our community is in history.
Right.
And we always, support all of our first responders. But that's a big day in Conroe PD. And the fact that we've only had one officer killed in the line of duty in the city of Conroe, I think that's pretty amazing. But lift up his family in prayer today. I'm sure it's a pretty hard day for them.
I imagine.
Pretty sure it's a hard day. But I thought that was great. I thought it was great that Conroe PD would put that out and share that story, because we have so many new people that have moved into the area, but some of us that grew up here that, we're too young to really remember that. I think it's important history for us to know. So, Sergeant 𝗿𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗃, rest in peace. Thank you so much for serving our community and making it a better place to be.
Absolutely.
So, on that note, if you want to make the world a better place today, K&G Capital over at 3210 North Fraser Street in Conroe is doing
Mason?
a blood drive today until 2:30. So, give the gift of life. Go donate some blood. Also, tonight we've got Corey Morrow live at 𝗏𝗏 Barn. If you're looking for something to do this evening, but also going around today, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them stroll through City Hall. The Renaissance Festival
I
King
knew that's what you were going to say.
is doing the tour of Conroe. Hear ye, hear ye.
Do you remember our first year? that
I
they came
do.
back and
Yes.
came over and
the
did that?
King came and hung out with us. Yeah, it was a good time. So they're going to be making scheduled stops at the food bank at Hunger Crush, which is the new restaurant down on 105 West that actually benefits the Montgomery County Food Bank, the Firm Meadery here in downtown, and also Southern Star Brewery. So if you'd like to see the King, they're actually raising awareness and funds to get rid of hunger here in Montgomery County. So make sure you're looking for them. Tomorrow evening is a great time to be in downtown Conroe because it's the Sip, Shop, and Stroll going in all downtown, all the restaurants, all the boutiques, all the different shops. It starts at 4 o'clock. They've got so many great things going on. And then it's just come down. Come grab a drink, come grab a bite to eat, do a little bit of shopping. Okay. Also, Friday night going on here in downtown Conroe, 202 Main is doing how to make a craft cocktail. If you've never had one of their craft cocktails, trust me, they're worth learning about. And then the Firm Meadery is having stand-up comedy night, which I think is so much fun because any of us could really use a glass of wine and something to laugh about. So that's going on. This weekend, we have a new shop opening in downtown Conroe.
Do you want to take a breath?
No.
You've got
Well,
the
I want to
list
get through
today.
this.
I know.
We've got things to talk about. So this weekend, it is the grand opening of Almost August, which is a new shop here in downtown Conroe. I mean, Almost August. And they have hand-poured soaps and candles and linen sprays. Think wonderful gift ideas. There's just so much going on in downtown Conroe the next 3 days. It's crazy. There's also Main Street Market happening in downtown Conroe. It starts at 9 a.m. They've got the farmers market out here. You've got vendors in addition to all the things that are here permanently in downtown Conroe.
Come get some maters.
I'm telling you, it's a great place to be. We've got the Lake Conroe Home and Outdoor Living Show going on at Margaritaville. We have the Comic Conroe Strikes Back, which is a comic convention going on at the Lone Star Convention Center. And then we have Racking Up Dollars for Scholars Bowling Tournament, benefiting the Metro Go Texan Committee of Conroe, Willis, and the Woodlands.
Who benefits the
Houston Livestock Show and
Who
Rodeo.
benefits the
Youth of Montgomery County.
Thank you.
And that is going to be out in Cut and Shoot out at the bowling alley. So Time to Spare is hosting us once again. It's going to be a grand old time. So if you bowl, even if you don't bowl well, you could come join us. There's silent auction stuff going on, but all the dollars raised stay here in scholarships for students in Conroe ISD and Willis ISD. So
excellent.
Yes. Now I'm going to take a break. Go ahead. Show's yours.
When you were talking about police, it reminded me of another whole topic that we need to discuss with you if you're okay discussing it. Okay.
Not that she put you on the spot
No,
or anything.
no,
Or couldn't have said, hey, let's take a break.
No,
and let's talk to our guest.
if she doesn't want to, that's fine. Anyway,
It just depends on what you mean.
just a brief
know.
little,
Married
just
to
a
it.
no, no,
Wondering if
just
she
a,
put it off my arrest record, and I don't know about it
No
yet.
idea what we're talking about.
I mean, she just like pops up out of nowhere and says, hey, can we talk about this? Nobody's watching. Nobody's paying attention. It's fine.
oh, they all love it. They go, oh, Mel's talking.
There
Let's
she
see.
goes
Talk about
again.
pretty much anything.
Here she goes again. Anyway.
Okay. What I was going to say is, I don't remember what I was going to say, frankly, but we'll move on to the next thing.
Go right ahead.
I think that we should get a group together and we should be out here tomorrow evening. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
You
It's going to
gonna
be a good time.
You going to be here?
Yes, because I have a meeting
Oh, good.
at 6 p.m. at 202 Main. So yes, I will be here.
Yeah. I'm going to be where they're making drinks.
Happens to I don't plan all the good things, but some things that are planned
Right.
are just good things that happen to me. So.
Absolutely.
So you get
absolutely.
involved in your community, and you end
I
up.
said that about you
know,
yesterday. I said, well, it's Christy. Who was I talking to? Oh, Jim. Anyway, I said, it's Christy. It'll just happen. He goes, what? I said, good things follow her.
Okay, well, that's not always true.
I didn't say bad things don't follow
Okay.
her. I just said good things follow
I'm
her.
stalked.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
So why don't you introduce our guest
Okay,
today,
I
Mel?
would love to. Today we have with us Madilene Loosier, and she is, well, I like to call her the heartbeat of Walker County. She's that's a little much, but she's a community advocate, and both Huntsville and Conroe. She's involved in Conroe activities as well, but she has done.
Bi-municipal.
Yeah, I called her a bi-county girl.
Bi-county girl.
Anyway, she is so connected. Her husband is a constable in Walker County, and she does all kinds of activities, and we'll talk about some of those. And I think the best way to introduce her, because I could go on forever, is to just start going through some of her things. Anyway, welcome, Madeline. We are so glad to have you.
Madeline, it's very nice to
Hello.
see you
Thank
today.
you for having me.
Thanks for braving the weather to
weather, right.
make it to the south side.
She is a talented and smart girl.
Excellent.
And I call her a girl because we're past that age.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'm not too much younger than you.
Anyway, I'm 29. Anyway, Madeline is one of the things that she has done. She's been very active in the Republican Party in Walker County, and I mean the Republican women and the Republican Party. She's always doing things. Anyway, tell us a little bit about some of your, and you can talk about all of it or you can leave part of it out, but tell us a little bit about some of your political activities up there. And let's just go ahead and move all that out of the way, and we can go on and talk about how great you are.
Well, in the Walker County Republican Women, I've served as president, vice president, secretary, and chair of several of the committees through the years, for over 10 years. And then my husband ran for office, and I was his
Cheerleader, campaign
Yes,
manager.
campaign manager, thank you.
Toilet cleaner, window washer.
And so we were excited when he won his election. So he's in his second term of his second year as Constable Precinct 2 in Walker County.
Excellent.
Yeah, and he's a nice guy. He's a good one to call if you're stuck on the side of the road at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And he always tells people, call my wife at 2 o'clock in the morning, because I have to wake him up.
Well, what about all of the things that you do? I mean, you have 3 sons that are.
How old are they?
We are empty nesters as of last October. And
Okay,
we're happy.
Well, I'm gonna be empty nesting next summer, and so this is encouraging.
We're not sad. We still see them.
I had a friend of mine, and she posted this comic strip, and it said, "This is the most true to parenting life as you can imagine." And it's this mama bird with this baby bird. It says, "I will always keep you warm." And the next frame is this mama bird with a little bit baby bird saying, "I will always encourage you, and I will always be here for you." And then the third one is mama bird with a little bit larger adolescent bird going, I will help guide you through life, and we'll get through this together. And then the last one is she's kicking the baby bird out of the nest saying, "Now fly, baby bird, fly." And so I feel like I'm starting to get a little bit closer to that kicking them out of the nest thing.
She has sent her. She didn't send them away. I think they made that choice themselves. But go ahead and tell us.
Yes, we were
start at the
really
oldest.
initiated because our oldest son will be 25 actually next month. And right out of high school, he joined the Air Force.
Wow.
So he
Fantastic.
left. That was really hard because unlike sending your child to college where you can talk to them, you don't get
Kinda
any
going into the unknown.
communication for
Right.
a long time while they're in basic training. So that was really hard with the first ones. It gets easier, as you go through the kids. But our oldest served 6 years in the Air Force, and he came back this
Kudos
past
to
year.
him. Cheers to him
Cheers.
for serving our
Thank you.
country.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And he is currently looking at different opportunities, probably going to go into law enforcement because he was security forces, which is federal law enforcement in the Air Force. So he's working on that right now. So it's been nice to have him back home after 6 years.
Yes.
He's not in our home, but
Close
he's
enough
back.
to visit.
Yes. He comes over for mom's cooking. And then our middle son is 22, and he was a graduate of TSTC in Waco in auto collision repair and management technology.
Excellent.
And worked in that field for 2 years, and then decided he wanted to work with mom. So
And what do you do?
I own a piano tuning and repair business that I started 18 years ago.
Excellent.
This month is actually my 18th anniversary.
Wow. Kudos to
Yeah.
that.
And so my 2 youngest boys actually worked with me in the summer times doing cleanings on pianos and repairs and stuff. So it wasn't new to him, but he decided he wanted to jump in with me because I actually
Needed
could
the
use
help.
the help. Yeah, there's not a lot of people in this
I was fixing to
industry.
say that's a
so
specialized
it
skill.
is. And you have to love it.
Yeah.
Not everybody can
Love
sit there
being
and listen to a
tedious
piano
and-
being,
yes.
yeah. But I like taking an instrument that just doesn't really sound musical at all, and then making a
Giving it life
musical
again.
instrument out of it, and where it sounds really nice.
I can see where that would be very
Yeah.
fulfilling.
So my middle son's been working with me since November, and I trained him, and he's actually going off on his own now. I
Wow.
can send him off to appointments. It's really nice. And then our youngest is 19, and he is in South Korea in the Air Force. So he's
Wow.
about to have his first year finished.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you kind of got that since the first one kind of conditioned you for this. It's a little
It's
bit
a little easier.
less traumatic.
Yeah. I don't cry as much when I
Yeah. That's hard. Those babies
Yeah.
are always our babies.
But it is nice now. I mean, I can't imagine what it would have been like 20, 30 years ago and more, when you didn't have the phones. And Facebook Messenger has been awesome.
Yes.
Especially when my other son was overseas, because the Facebook Messenger you can call each other
Yes.
on. And it doesn't cost you anything.
Yes.
Because they can't use their regular phones
Yeah.
over there. So we have communication. It's not like you're having to write a letter and wait a few
wait, right.
weeks and then back
But
and
still,
forth.
I mean, it does have its challenges, but technology does have its perks.
Yes.
Obviously.
If I send him a care package, it takes a good 2 weeks to get over there. So right now he's waiting for beef jerky.
I bet he's counting down the minutes. I can only imagine.
Well, as far as, okay, there's the kids, and now we've talked about your business, so we can dig into that a little bit. I really, when I first met Madeline, she was driving a Expedition, okay, and it had script writing and a piano keyboard on the side of it. It says piano tuning by Madeline, I believe is what it said, right? Or
Madeline's Piano Tuning and Repair.
Sorry. Okay, so I was driving down the road and I kept commenting to whomever was in the car at the time, most of the time Annie, and I kept commenting, I bet she's fun. I bet she's fun. Because her stuff's all over the windows. It was cute. Anyway.
And I have the added musical notes.
Yeah, right, yeah. So then, anyway, her husband called me, and I worked for him on his first campaign a long time ago. And anyway, it was kismet, and she is fun. There you go. So now you have it. Anyway.
Well, I want to know, how did you get started in? I mean, it's one thing to be a piano teacher because, there are lots of people that are very adept at that, that have that talent. But to go into the mechanics of the instrument that is so intricate, and how in the world did you get started in that?
I never get that question. Well, actually, I have a Bachelor of Music in Music Therapy with a minor in piano from Sam Houston State, go Bearcats, and
Got two
national
today.
championships.
Yeah.
So I did my internship at the Institute for Rehabilitation and Research in Houston, and then they had a part-time position come open, so I worked part-time. But at the time, my husband and I were recently married, and we decided we wanted to live in Huntsville because neither one of us grew up there, but we loved it. I've been there since I was 19. And I didn't want to move down to Houston to work because there were no music therapy jobs at the time between Huntsville and Houston, which it's grown since then. But I remember when I'd brought my piano to my house when I was in college, I had someone come tune my piano from out of town. There weren't many people doing it. And I paid $50. He was there 30 minutes. And he only touched like the center of the piano. He didn't touch every tuning pin. I didn't know anything about piano tuning. I've played since I was 8. But one thing about piano players, we learn how to play with every other instrument, because I also play viola since I was 10. With every other instrument, you learn how to tune your instrument, replace strings, do minor repairs and everything else. But you don't learn about the mechanics of a piano. You just sit down and play it. And if something's not right, you know something's not right, you just don't know how to fix it. So I was able to stay home with all 3 of my boys, and my youngest was a baby. I just say God gave me the idea because I don't know where it came from. I never imagined I would have been doing this, but I started researching piano technology because I knew how to do things with my viola and not my piano. And I thought, I can do a better job than what was done to my piano, because I know it didn't sound quite right, but I didn't know why. And I found the American School of Piano Tuning, and I sent off for the information. It was a correspondence course, because really there was only one school to go to, which was several states away, and I wasn't leaving 3 little children. So I got the information, but it was like a couple $1,000s. I'm like, that's a lot of money to spend
to invest
if you don't know really if you want to do it or not, because I don't know if I'm going to love it, and I have to love something to do it. I have to have a passion for it, because you want to care about it and do a good job. So I sat on it for a little while, prayed about it, and a few months later, I got a letter in the mail from the American School of Piano Tuning, and they said, well, we had a few people order this course. They didn't do anything with it. They sent it back, so we're going to offer it to you half price.
Excellent.
Wow.
That was my answer to my prayer.
That was your sign.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to go for it. So I took my time with it. I went through a year of it. And they, at the end of the course, they tell you how to start your business and give you suggestions.
Very cool.
And joining a local chapter of the Piano Technician Guild. And I got with a mentor, 𝗏 Bartlett, who should be listening right now. Thank you, 𝗏. I've known him for many years. He's been wonderful, helped me get me to where I am now. I'm still wonderful. So I just went from there, started, as it was suggested, I went to a couple of people's houses, friends that had pianos, and just started tuning for free. And I just had a natural knack for it, I guess, because they were happy with it. And I thought, well,
here we go.
They're happy with it, I'm going to start charging.
Yeah, exactly.
So a couple of years later, I had enough business to be full-time. I got a contract with Sam Houston State, and I started developing relationships with a lot of piano dealers. And so now I tune for a lot of school districts and
probably
concerts.
churches.
𝗏𝗏.
Yeah.
You mentioned 𝗏𝗏. Churches. Anywhere there's a piano.
That is excellent. And it's one of those things, like you said, that we kind of take for granted because, you just assume that, with every other instrument, we have our little tuners and we can tighten strings, loosen them up, whatever. But piano is a different story.
So, and I have a question about how this is affecting things. I don't think it's bothering, because I've watched you go from reasonably busy to like you don't have time, So I don't think this is affecting it. But my piano, someone left in a flooded room. The piano wasn't flooded, but you know what happens when the moisture gets in it. Anyway, And so Annie wanted to learn to play the piano. And I thought, well, music connects
Therapy.
the synapses, therapy
Yeah.
for and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, and that year for Christmas, she got electric keyboards from 2 different people. Well, I was going to put her on the piano, because there's nothing like that feeling when you
Right.
master it. It's pretty cool. Even here we go up the road, So anyway, she never would sit at the piano again. Never again. Anyway, so has it affected you? Has it affected the piano business? Because then I
The
couldn't-
keyboards? Actually, no, because I'm what I call a fundamental pianist, because I learned on an acoustic piano.
Right, right.
And if you go to a concert hall, you don't normally see a keyboard. If you're
Right.
going to a
Right, yeah.
piano
Absolutely.
concert, you've got a 9-foot concert grand.
Right.
And there's something about, I don't like digital keyboards. That's just my personal preference, because I think, like with my viola and an acoustic piano, you become one with the instrument because you feel those vibrations.
Sure.
I've even tried an electric violin, 5-string violin, and it's just not the same to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I'm playing a keyboard and there's a speaker behind me, my brain doesn't connect to my fingers if the
right.
sound isn't coming
Yeah,
here and I
right
can
from the-
feel it.
Yeah, right. I hadn't even
But-
thought about that. That's funny.
But there's a lot of people that still have pianos. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
some people like the digital keyboards, but
But there are a lot of family
there's no
heirlooms
shortage of pianos.
that are getting passed down, and
Yes.
anything. So I assume you probably do the traditional, grand pianos and the uprights and everything in between. Which it amazes me the difference in those two, and they can still create the same sound. Like the construction of a piano is so amazing. It's hard to believe how long they've been around, but you see these amazing photographs of the interior workings of a piano, and it's almost art. It's beautiful.
There's over 1,000 moving parts in a piano action.
That is crazy.
And I actually did not know the difference between a vertical and a grand piano action until I started working on them and learning about them. And the reason a grand piano is easier to play quick passages is because it has a repetition lever with a spring. And that's the main difference between the vertical action and a grand action. It
Wow.
makes certain things play easier.
So is there more reverb with an upright, so the notes are a little bit longer? Or
Well, the
what is
hammer
that?
bounces back up to the string quicker, so you can play faster passages easier.
That
on
is
the grand
very
piano.
interesting. See, things you don't even know.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't know that either.
And
That's
in this
amazing.
business, you can learn to just tune, or you can go all the way and learn how to
Repair it. Figure it.
action regulation is like a tune-up on a piano. Some people think they need to buy a new vehicle or a new piano.
Yeah.
And I always compare it to a new vehicle, but when a piano needs to be regulated because it doesn't feel like it should, you can't play softly, sometimes the keys will miss or whatever. Over time, those felts compact and it just doesn't play like it's supposed to, and people think they need a new piano when really it just needs action regulation. So I do that plus a lot of repairs and everything. So I'm not just a piano
Wow,
tuner,
you're a
I'm
one-stop shop.
piano technician, so I do a lot of those repairs.
So, what was the craziest condition of an instrument that you found and was able to rehabilitate it? And have there ever been any that you've gone in that you were like, yeah, no, this is never gonna happen?
I've run away, yes.
Yes. Like the haunted houses with the,
Yes, I've come to pianos that were mouse infested.
Oh,
because
my.
Mice love piano felts.
Oh,
Yes. And that's not safe to breathe.
now
all that.
did they know before they called you? Did they give you a
Most
heads up?
don't, because you don't see it unless the piano gets
Unless you go
opened
look
up.
at- yeah.
Yes. And there'll be a mouse nest. And I have actually had a mouse jump out at
Oh,
me
no,
one
thank
time. But yeah, I don't. Those are usually so bad that you can't do
Because-
much
because
with
they've
it
just torn
because
it
you
up.
can't get all that urine and stuff
Yeah.
out of the wood. But usually there's all these parts are rusted and everything's sticking anyway, and it's just not safe to have at home.
Yeah, yeah.
But I have done major rehabilitations like restoring, replacing felts, replacing hammers, all that kind of thing.
Is there one particular job that was like super cool that you remember? Like,
I have redone an old upright where I replaced all the strings and all the hammers, all the action parts, and it was really nice when it was done because it was an heirloom. And most of those pianos now that were built at the turn of the century in the 1900s,
yes, right.
they're at the point now, they're 120 years old and they need so much work. Some of them are beyond because it can cost $15,000 to $20,000 to completely rebuild one of those.
Yeah.
And there are people that want to do that, and that's fine. You know, if it's sentimental, that means a lot to somebody if it was grandma's piano. But a lot of times you have to kind of pronounce them. They need to go to piano heaven, and you need to spend your money on a nicer piano, especially with children. Because a lot of children won't continue to take lessons after about a year if they don't have a successful piano to play on.
Right.
And you don't have to have an expensive piano. Even like a little Wurlitzer Spinet can be fine as long as it's functional. But the child has to feel successful and it has to respond properly in order for them to feel successful and
Feel
want to
encouraged.
continue.
Yeah.
But if they're trying to play something and it's just not doing what it's supposed to, they can really get discouraged.
Yeah.
Or one key that won't pop up after you.
Yes.
E.
And I get that a lot. I have a sticking key. And sometimes it's very simple. Something got out of alignment. Other times something may be broken. But yeah, we do it all.
So the grand that you repaired, that you went and basically, how long did that take you?
That was an upright that
An
I
upright.
did.
Oh, it was.
It took several months just because you have to order parts, and I was by myself, so I kind of had to work my tunings in
Right.
between. But it took several months.
I mean, because I'm just guessing with, each key having its own string, or at least that's how I
some of
perceive
them have
it
3
to operate.
strings.
But to be able to go through and first identify and diagnose the problem, and then order parts or whatever, and then actually go in there and do it, and then actually tune it. I mean, that seems like it could be
And you have to match
really
the parts to the piano.
Yeah.
That's what the regulation does, because you have to regulate it after you put new parts in, so they all work properly.
Okay, so tell me this. I know you're in the Conroe Symphony and Orchestra. Is that right?
Conroe Symphony
and
Orchestra.
Right, okay. Symphony Orchestra. Do you, tell me what instruments you play with them.
I play viola.
You do? Okay. So you don't play the piano with them?
No, I have occasionally, but I normally play viola. Yeah, and I started. This year is actually the 25th season. It's the 25th anniversary of
Yes.
the Conroe Symphony, and I started with them the second concert. I'm not a charter member because I had just had my first baby, so I wasn't ready to
but that's
leave
amazing.
for 3 hours at a time. Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of people that don't realize how amazing the Conroe Symphony Orchestra is.
Oh, they're phenomenal.
And the gem that it is here in Conroe. I mean, seriously.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I've played several different roles. I've been principal violist, personnel manager. I've served on the board in different capacities.
Window washer.
I've been librarian. I've ordered music, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So it's a family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun.
And
And we
just
have a new
25 years. That's
yes,
amazing.
we have a new conductor starting this season, Gary Leapst.
Ah.
And our first concert of this season is actually
Give us the
October
deets.
15th, Saturday, October 15th at 7:30 at the Willis High School Performing Arts Center.
Which is fantastic.
Yes, they have
Yes.
a beautiful venue. I
Yes.
think most of our concerts are going to be there this
That's
year.
excellent.
And the first concert theme is Chills Down Your Spine.
Ooh.
So, Halloween.
So it's Halloween thing. So that's amazing, and I'm familiar with the Performing Arts Center because both of my kids go to Willis High School. but what they were able to bring, I think, to this community as far as a venue for shows like that,
Yes.
is extraordinary. Extraordinary. I mean, it's really top of the art.
Yeah. And we've
State-of-the-art,
played many different places over the years,
Yeah.
and we're hoping one day to have our own concert venue.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Ooh,
Yes.
I've heard a little bit of chatter about the potential of that, so it's very
There
exciting.
is.
Yeah.
I even heard where. Kind of cool.
So do you also, or have you ever given lessons too?
I have, but being a teacher's not really my thing.
Yeah, I think I would be like, I can't even imagine there's enough Excedrin in the world to make
It would
that
go like this.
enjoyable.
Ma'am, your sweet angel's driving me crazy. Come pick him up, please. Yeah, that would be me.
I actually, when I first started tuning pianos and I wasn't real busy, I had a young man, he was a teenager who had some learning disabilities, and his grandmother really, she almost begged me, and I couldn't tell her no, but she wanted me to teach him because she knew of my music therapy background. So that went well for about a year, and he just decided he wanted to go to drums.
Yeah. Beat things. I can
Do I
appreciate
know who that
too.
is? I think I know who that is. I think I know who that is.
I don't, that
What-
was so long ago,
Yeah,
I don't remember his name.
Okay. It's all right. There are some great kids who have challenges of all different kinds, physical and mental, and they end up playing, and a lot of them play by ear, and which is challenging as a teacher, but what interesting kids. Anyway, that's all. I
Yes.
just want to add that.
So do you, I mean, to be a woman in business, you know, has its challenge. Well, to be a small business owner has its own challenges. And the good thing is I'm guessing that even through COVID, your business was probably still pretty steady.
Well,
Ish.
that was a challenge.
Yeah.
Because I can't work from home. I'm service based, so I can't have people bring their
Right.
pianos to me.
Right.
So that was a rough month that I had to be shut down because I was considered a non-essential
Essential.
business. I went on the website and was reading detailed because I wanted to make sure I couldn't go to work.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And so I stayed home that month. I think it was April when everybody
Yeah.
got shut down. April of 2020.
Yeah, March to April-ish.
Yes. So I had to cancel all my appointments. But people, like towards the end of March, a lot of my older clients were canceling just because
Yeah,
everybody
didn't
was
want to take the
freaking out.
risk. Right.
And so I was home the month of April, but I was really busy actually because I was on Zoom calls with the Walker County Chamber of Commerce and the Small Business Development Center and Congressman Brady. I was
Trying to figure
staying
things
very
out.
involved,
Yeah.
trying to, with the loans that were available and all that, you know, just seeing what possibilities were. And so after I was off that whole month, I remember Governor Abbott saying, I want my sole proprietors to go back to work May 1st. Okay,
Let's
yes,
go.
thank you. So I started calling all my clients. I had to make changes, of course, like everybody else.
Right.
Sanitizing the piano keys. I was wearing gloves to begin with and mask and everything, and making sure my clients were comfortable with me coming in their home and all that. So I was able to navigate it and making sure everybody was comfortable. But really that month, it just started picking up again. And actually, with people being home for so long, they started taking lessons.
Yeah.
Even adults. You can take
You can
any
do
kind of
your- and
musical
you-
instrument
yes.
lesson at any age, and it's actually good for your brain.
Absolutely.
Which was what I learned in music therapy because you're creating those new synapses, whether you're reading or doing crossword puzzles or learning something new.
You're keeping
it's
that
great
body
for your brain
chemistry
Right.
snapping.
because it keeps the dementia away. But yeah, I stay really busy, so I've been blessed.
And now you've got your son that's helping too.
He
So
is.
and that's his full-time gig. So
Yes.
obviously y'all are staying pretty busy.
And I've had several people call me from the Bryan College Station area over the last couple of years, and I just I wasn't ready to expand that way because I already work 6 counties. But my son is very willing to go that direction, so he's my technician for that area now.
Excellent. So spread the word. If you're in Bryan College Station and you need your piano tuned or repaired, you can reach out to Madeline too.
Yeah, and if you're in Conroe and you have a piano, I bet you already know her. Or Montgomery County, I should say.
Yes, I work a lot in Montgomery County. Yeah.
That's amazing.
All right. One of the things that, what I was referring to a while ago, Madeline was like, she's famous. She's part of Texas history. Now she knows what I'm going to talk about. I'm sure I don't mean it's humorous, but we talk light of it. But Madeline went through something pretty traumatic. Do you remember? And I'm going to ask you to call the names of it because I'll screw it up if I do it. What was the incident at TDC that caused it? What were their names that caused all the problems? How will people recognize the incident? Because they will.
September 24th, 2007. And I don't want to talk a whole lot about it just because things are still going on.
I just want them to understand. I want them to understand where you've been.
2 inmates escaped. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to say their names?
No, you don't have to say their names. It doesn't matter.
And the short of it is they overtook a guard and another correctional officer, Susan Canfield, was killed. And they stole a truck, drove across town. And I was in the bank drive-through in my truck. And my doors were locked, but my window was down because I had just used the little receptacle to put my check in. And all of a sudden, I had 2 inmates come up to my door.
Oh, my heavens.
And I knew they were inmates because I've been a dispatcher with Walker County Sheriff's Office for a couple of years, many years ago. But I knew immediately they were inmates and what had happened.
Something went right.
Yeah. I didn't know anything that happened before that, but they had a rifle in my face and told me to move over, and my brain just went to mush like you hear.
Right.
Because of the immediate
Adrenaline.
trauma and everything was in slow motion. And they shoved me across the seat. One of them got in the driver's seat, one of them got in the back, and then we took off from the bank. The short story is there was a shootout there at the bank between the inmate and the law enforcement that showed up at the bank. Then we drove further down through town. The tire got shot out, so they pulled over and decided to get out there, and then went in the woods, and
Yeah,
I
whatever.
had a police car come and get me, but I was in a shootout there also. So I'm very
quite
thankful
traumatic.
to be here. Yes.
And this is what I think is so interesting because I didn't realize it, but you and I talked about it not too long ago. But the case is still going on. She
Yes.
still has to go to court.
Like with appeals and everything that they're coming back with.
Yes.
And that was in 2007.
Seven.
So 15 years you've been dealing with this now.
Yes.
Bless your heart.
But I'm thankful to be here.
Yes. And thankful that you have the story to tell.
Yes. I've actually been able to witness to a lot of people based on that because there's so many side stories that were
Right.
from people in town that saw that happening. And like my favorite one is a lady from church told me, because this happened about 10 o'clock in the morning. She said she got to work that morning and she just felt this burning desire that she had to pray for protection over somebody.
Wow.
And she didn't know who it was. And her coworker came in and she said she's actually her prayer partner. And she says, I don't know who we're praying for, but we need to get on our knees and pray for somebody right now. Well, she told me later. It gives me goosebumps.
I've got goosebumps all over me.
She told me later, she says, I know we were praying for you. And I said, I know it. I had angels around me because I could have been shot so many different times, or we could have been a wreck. I had bullet holes all in my truck when I was in it.
Wow.
So
So how long were you in the truck with them when they got in at the bank? Like, was it, I'm sure it probably felt like an eternity in some ways.
It was maybe 10 or 15 minutes. It wasn't that long. But it was enough to do damage. I had to go through 8 months of
I can only imagine. I'd probably never roll my window down
therapy.
again.
So, yeah. And I had to work through being able to go back to the bank because I wasn't going to let them win and make me have to leave town.
Yeah.
So I had to work through things to be able to still function. You know, there's TDCJ buses that drive through town. You know, and it affected where I worked because if they were out working somewhere, I couldn't go there. I had to cancel a few appointments just because.
Yeah, yeah, and there are, of course, you know Huntsville well, but there are, what, 7 or 9? 7 units in Walker County?
I think
7 units. And Walker County is a big county, but geographically, I mean, so, but still, that's a lot of units. I mean, you don't drive through Huntsville without seeing somebody in a white jumper. Jumpsuit.
And if you're a painter, don't walk through Huntsville in a
white jumpsuit.
It doesn't go over well.
They will be calling 911.
Yeah,
exactly.
I can imagine. And I can't even imagine still having to deal with that 15 years later, and still being kind of sucked back into that.
Yeah, I had to testify in 3 capital murder trials.
Wow. So did you use music to help get you through that?
Oh, yeah. Because music is therapy in itself, just
I agree.
as an individual, you know. And there's a song that Stephen Curtis Chapman sings that I call my theme song when I was going through a lot. It's called Hiding Place. And if you look up the words to it, it's just awesome. And, I mean, I had friends tell me, I don't know how you're even keeping going because I would just crawl in a corner in my room and not ever get out again. But you have to make a conscious decision when you go through a traumatic event to move forward. I mean, it's a conscious decision because you can easily just crawl in a corner and just. But I had kids. They were 4, 7, and 10. And, I mean, I would get in the car in the mornings just crying, trying to get to the school to take them to work. I'm like, Mommy's okay.
We're going to get through
okay. I just may cry sometimes, but it was a process. And my poor husband, bless his heart, he was my rock.
And now, was he in law enforcement at that time?
Yes.
Yes. And I can only imagine the effect that it had on him as well.
And he didn't know how to help me. You know, you feel helpless. But he understands, and I understand, you know, when we have veterans come back and they are put on all these medications, and then you're put on additional medications because you have side effects. And then all of a sudden you've got too much medication and you can't function. That happened to me. And I just, one day I said, okay, we got to stop.
Yeah.
This is not okay.
This is not working.
And so I stayed on one for a while to kind of keep me, because what I learned from my counselor was when you go through a traumatic event like this, and I'm sure there's people listening that can relate to this, but it made sense when he told me that in a traumatic event, something in your brain just turns on and becomes overactive. And that's what can cause you to have panic attacks and anxiety. And that was the point that I was like, okay, I need to get help.
Yeah.
That I understand what our veterans and other individuals go through with the whole medication thing. Because it's difficult.
Well, and you know, and being a victim of a violent crime absolutely constitutes PTSD.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm sure the dreams and the memories and just, you know, the simple task of getting in your car and going to the bank, which seems like a no-brainer, I can see where that would be.
And I had to get another vehicle because I couldn't get in that vehicle. Knowing he had touched the steering, it was just, because he had touched me, and I was like,
yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
So.
Well, and I've heard her talk about it a couple of times with, I guess it was just conversations, really. Anyway, so she earned my respect early on. We'll put it that way. She's
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yes,
I'm living
it's
proof
true.
of that.
That is true.
And you
That is
can,
so true.
if you're not in a good place right now and you can't see the light, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, even though you may not be able to see it now. And things will get better. And reach out for help.
And that was going to be my next thing. You know, I think so many people, and the stigma has changed in the last, 2 decades over, mental health and mental health awareness, and getting, through traumatic events and the residual effects that it can have on your life. But there are still so many that don't ask for help. Yesterday on the news, they were reporting that the president of the Houston Texans, I think their foundation maybe, or maybe it was just their organization, he succumbed to mental illness. And you look at, Naomi Judd and how, she succumbed to her mental illness. And I think so much of that is because people don't reach out to those resources. And I know it's not, who am I to preach about doing that, but there are so many great resources, and I'm sure you wouldn't be the woman that you are today without the help and guidance that you got to work through that.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. She went through all these years of starting a business, putting a business together, and running the business by yourself. I mean, I know, Shane, your husband was there to help you, but
Right.
he had his own responsibilities.
Yes.
I mean, so I think I think her testimony is in her strength, which comes from above. So I'm pretty impressed with her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I could see why. What a great testimony. What a great story. I mean, I thought, so Mel tells me, well, my friend Madeline's going to come and she tunes pianos. I was like, fantastic. Sounds
There's
wonderful.
a little more to me than that.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. But no, really, I think sharing your story is really incredible on a lot of different levels, because I think, starting a business is scary enough. Starting a business with small children is even scarier. And then keeping it going through a
Pandemic,
a traumatic event and a violent crime, and then going through a pandemic, and and all you're trying to do is bring people the music that they need to heal in the first place.
Yes.
and 2 kids in the Air Force.
And 2 kids in the Air Force.
That would send me over the edge.
You're already over the edge.
I know.
We know this. No, but I think it's such a great story to share that you can be resilient and be strong and get through everything that you need to with the tools that you have. And it all started with a little mail-in correspondence course on tuning pianos.
Wow. What a great wrap up. That's awesome, Christy.
I know.
Anyway, is there anything we need to mention that we've left out, that when somebody has an issue with their piano? Like, is there anything in particular?
Pianos actually need to be tuned at least once a year,
Okay.
whether they're played or not, because there's so much tension across the strings.
Kind of like my shoulders.
That helps keep them where they need to be.
Kind of like your shoulders. Okay, well, we got to go. I hate that. This has been a fast show, hasn't it?
It has.
It's so interesting. Like, now I want to go buy a book on the internal workings of a piano, because I didn't know. This is so interesting. But yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we've got the Conroe Symphony Orchestra concert coming up on October 15th. It is going to be at the Willis High School Performing Arts Center. It's right there on 75 at the corner of 830. Go check it out. If you've never experienced the symphony, go check out their website. I mean, and go see one of their shows. You will absolutely not regret it.
And my business is Madeline's Piano Tuning and Repair, and my phone number is 936-581-0094. And you can Google Madeline's Piano Tuning and Repair.
Are you on
and you'll
Facebook?
find me. I am on Facebook also.
Excellent. See, so we're going to have to make sure that we share our page. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming and joining us today. Make sure y'all tune in every Wednesday at noon whenever we bring Hour of Hump Day to you right here with Toast the Town with Christy Mel. You definitely deserve a toast. Thank you, Madeline. We look forward to talking with you again soon.
Thank you.
Y'all make it a great week.